This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to the education and advancement of today's artists in the world of glass. My goal is to share an understanding of simple business principles and relationship development that you, the artist, can implement now. Starting with good habits and a solid foundation, you can grow not only as an artist, but also an artistic entrepreneur. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
By Mountain Glass Arts. For the month of November 2016, Mountain Glass is offering their Boro sale, 40% off Chinese rod and tube. Just put in the code Chinese, CHINESE at checkout. And for all you soft glass nerds, they have their Creations is Messy, 40% off. Just put in the code MESSY, MESSY at checkout. And don't forget, Mountain Glass will be closed November 23rd through November 27th. So get all your orders in before Wednesday. Any other comments, questions, or concerns? Just go to mountainglass.com. That's mountainglass.com. This episode is also brought to us by Glass Roots. Now entering its 8th year, Glass Roots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. Located at the Monona Terrace Convention Center in Madison, Wisconsin, Glass Roots showcases the works of over 40 vendors consisting of raw material suppliers, functional and non-functional art, and charitable glass organizations. To stay up to date with Glass Roots, just go to glassrootsartshow.com. That's glassrootsartshow.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 134. This is Jay Michael, your host. Thank you so much for tuning in today. With 17 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today is no exception. Today's episode is featuring D-Rock, Derek Ross out there in the real world, and D-Rock in the glass world. He's a pretty badass glass artist, been doing this since 99, somebody I've looked up to in our community for a long time, and just his style. Definitely see his kind of skateboarding background and kind of the, as we used to call it, extreme sports. He's got that style, like graffiti kind of skateboarding kind of look to his work, which I really appreciate and enjoy. And also just the sculptural side of it and the function and the way he's always changing and pushing himself. And we get into a lot of fun talk about like finding your line and your groove and, you know, just kind of starting off with a blank canvas. Just you'll see as you get into it. It's pretty good talk. Also want to make sure to let you know what you'll hear in the show we get into. On November 17th, 18th, and 19th, Derek, along with Casto and also Blitzkriega, will be in town together. The three of them are going to be teaching a class, an intensive sculptural functional class. The 17th and 18th is the 2 days of the class, and then the 19th they're doing a show where they'll all be revealing new works, which I'm super excited about, having these cats coming in town. For any information, if you're interested in these classes, just go to zenglass.com, check out the information there. There is two different versions of the class, one that's hands-on and one that is not. And obviously there'll be two different prices, but there's only a couple spots left for both classes. So any information, definitely hit up Josh and Dave on there at zenglass.com. And for any contact or information for me, just don't forget to hit me up. You can go to wiseguymedia.com and then just go to the top right corner, hit the contact button. That's WYZGUY media.com. The link is in the show notes. Also the link for this episode 134. You'll just go to wiseguymedia.com/134. And until next time, I'm going to let you go. Listen to this episode. Enjoy. Send me some comments. Let me know what you think, what you pulled from it. And enjoy. Derek Ross, a.k.a. D-Rock, episode 134. See you soon. Take care. Peace. Hey, what's up, Derek? Welcome to the show.
What's up? How's it going?
Good, man. So today we got Derek Ross on, also known as D-Rock, out there in the world of glass, really in the functional art scene. And I've loved your work, dude, for so long, so it definitely is an honor to have you on. And one of the reasons I contacted you, besides wanting to bring you on the show for a while now, is you're going to be in my town here teaching class soon, which we'll be covering that as well. But before we go out of control and sidetracked, if you want to start off by kind of giving us your superhero origin story, like where you got started with your apprenticeship and what have you.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. I started in Boulder, Colorado in 1999, September 4th. just funny because that's the only date I actually remember. I don't remember my first time I lost my virginity, but remember the first time I got on a torch. So.
Hell yeah. Pop that glass cherry.
Yeah, exactly. And I was really fortunate to learn from some great people. The guy that I learned from, his name is Pavel Sog, also known as Todd Young. And he had a shop in Colorado, one in New York, and one in Seattle. And he traveled to all those shops during that time, collecting production from all the artists that he worked with. And during that time, he taught Smiley, which was from Colorado, and he did tons and tons of line work, really amazing work. I don't know if you remember him at all.
The name's kind of familiar, but yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, in Colorado, he's more of a local legend. But John Kabuki was also in the mix. He taught John. John did not work at the Boulder studio, but he did come out a lot of times to do classes and hang out with Todd and show us how to do his flower marbles and cabs like that. And I pretty much took a 2-year apprenticeship up there, and I did coil spoons, coil oneies, frit spoons, frit oneies. And after that, I moved down to Denver and started blowing glass on my own from about 2002 to 2005, I want to say. And then I went back up to Fort Collins and worked at Halo Studio with Brad Wilson and pretty much hung out with a lot of the locals up there and did work with them. Big Z was up there. Worm was up there. He just moved up there from Jersey. And just being in Colorado, got a chance to work with a lot of great people. And just as time picked up, more artists started coming out. Ubatuba came out, and Adam G, and then Shack Mansion happened, and then the Colorado Projects.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's crazy seeing how much that scene there's blown up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of a whirlwind of amazing artists, and we all kind of had like the right drive of making like awesome artwork. And really, Sean Mueller, also known as Blade, he worked for Glasscraft, and he kind of approached me about doing these Colorado projects. And that was like my first opportunity to actually like interact with other artists that did headpieces and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So like from like 2000 to 2005, I was just blowing glass and not even really realizing that it was like a national thing. And like everyone else was doing this everywhere else. I just kind of thought this was kind of like a Colorado thing, and like some other people did it in Oregon or like Seattle. So
hell yeah, that's funny, dude. Yeah, man, because us little guys down here in Florida, it was just like that. Like we knew that what was going on across the country, but a lot of folks didn't really know what was going on here. So because like we're just like in Alaska, kind of thing.
Yeah, and thing about Colorado, for like the first part of like the 2000s, everyone was just so secretive, especially like the late 90s. So like from 98 to like 2005, like you really didn't get into those shops unless you were invited, or they knew you, or they knew that you were there to work and not just to party. So
yeah, for sure. I know like there were a couple studios in California that I was talking to at the time, like back at probably like early 2000s, and they wanted like $1,500 just to walk on their door.
Yeah.
That was like, and that was back like I was burning myself making inside outs because I wasn't plugging up my blowpipes, kind of shit. Like nobody was telling anybody anything. So so it's fun. So at what point did let me back up real quick. When Operation Pipe Dreams came through, did that affect you being in the areas that you were at the time?
Yeah, that's kind of funny because we were actually doing some side work for Tommy Chong. I don't know how he was doing that, but we were doing a lot of like the smaller tubes and making them on the lathe and then shipping them there so they could put the millies on.
Interesting.
So that was like between like 2003 and 2004. And during that time, I was also professional rollerblading. And I was actually sponsored from the time I was like 14 till I was 21.
Fuck yeah, dude. I used to love blading when it was, I did it for like 10 years. I loved that shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I could still rollerblade, I would, honestly.
Hell yeah. Did you have like the grind pads on your bottom of your skates and stuff for curbs and
Oh yeah,
everything, all the fun stuff?
yeah, yeah, definitely. I was doing traveling. I was doing ASAs. I was doing NISs. I did a couple X game trials. Was definitely on VG Video Groove more than once. So I definitely had a lot of opportunities to skate at a lot of places. I actually went to Florida a couple times to compete. It was pretty fun.
Rad, hell yeah. Yeah, man, a fun little side story. I know it's completely off topic, but this just reminds me, I figured I'd share it with everybody, is like the first time I took my brakes off my blades, I got new wheels, got no brake on there. I'm like, good to go. And our downtown St. Pete area, it's like as you go towards the water, it's like a gradual incline, or decline, I should say, going down towards the water, right? So we're going, and if you can time the speed right, you can hit every light to where it turns green, so you just keep fucking flying. And so I'm wearing this little tiny Elmo t-shirt, right, and a pair of jeans and my blades on, and there's like 6 of us hauling ass down this fucking road. I have no idea how I'm gonna fucking stop, and I'm praying to God that every light turns green as I go. And the very last level, like when we leveled out, that light turned red, and the cars start going crossways, and I'm like, what the like? I'm like, split second, what am I gonna do? So I just like dove into these bushes head first, and luckily I didn't break my neck. But man, I'll never forget that until the day I fucking die. Just super Elmo flying down the street on these rollerblades like a jackass.
Oh man, that's gotta be crazy. Yeah, I love street skating so much, but that's pretty much concrete hurts. And for some reason, skate parks like go so much bigger, and they have like the masonite and stuff, and it's just way more forgiving. But there's nothing like street skating.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there was so much of us doing it. They like the cops and shit were out all the time at night. It was kind of sucked, but things have definitely changed nowadays. It's more open to that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like our glass. I guess let's get back on the glass talk here. So, yeah, man. So Operation Pipe Dreams happened, and you said you guys were doing that fun stuff. So I guess I'm taking it you guys obviously stopped the production.
It was like pretty much night and day. Like literally, I went home, finished my night's work, and when I came back, it was like almost like 9/11 happened. I worked in the North Boulder warehouses, so where I was at, Chemo was there, Steve Seislove had a shop, we had our studio, and Todd actually did distribution for D&L for Eigenschaft Glass. And then right across the way was Diablo Studios. So just right in that north complex of Boulder, there is probably 90 artists just in that complex.
Wow.
And when I came back the next day, that parking lot was empty, and a lot of people started to pack up and leave town. And a lot of the heady artists decided to bone out. And I didn't work for about a week, and then Todd called me back up and was like, "Hey, you want to come back and do some more production?" And honestly, I thought it was kind of over. And it's kind of funny. I listened to that Lurch show, and it was really similar in a lot of ways to where, you think everything's fine, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, it's over, and you're done." And I was like, wow.
Yeah, it was so fucking crazy, right, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people that didn't go through it, yeah, especially, I mean, we were all in it about, 4 or 5 years or so into it when it was really, the momentum was really going for the industry. I mean, completely at that point in time, And I think it was growing a little too fast, just kind of pushing the envelope with the legalities and stuff. And of course, I don't want to get all political here, but the political state at the time was all fucked up anyways, even more so. But anyways, so it was weird, dude. It was like you're saying, because it was like 9/11. It was like, I mean, I can't compare it to that. Like, I know you understand you're saying the same thing, but just the fact of walking into a dead zone, we were like, what the fuck are we gonna do? So I started making shot glasses and stuff, and then I had kept getting phone calls from my distributor and shops that were like, "You got anything?" So I had to part ways from the studio I was in, go do my own thing, because there was a demand here in Florida for the touristy kind of crap, at the time, which paid my bills.
Yeah, I kind of admire that, because you guys just took the initiative to not make pipes and still make glass and make money.
Yeah.
So I was kind of left hanging, so to speak. But after a week, Todd felt like they weren't really going to do anything. But at that time, the main heady guys, this was 2004, Harry went to Alaska, Smiley went to San Diego, and a lot of other people just went to Oregon and Seattle and stuff, and it kind of just left the heady scene vacant in Colorado, and it really gave me an opportunity and Big Z an opportunity and Worm to really like start working on whatever we wanted and start filling all these cases with heady work.
Yeah, interesting.
And I had a distributor for like the first 10 years of my career, which was also happened to be my best friend. He grew up across the street from me. He owned a head shop in the town I lived in. So he was always buying my work anyways. So once that kind of happened, I just kind of gave him all my glass because I just didn't want to go do sales anymore. And he took care of me.
Right.
And it was just really fortunate to have someone in my corner like that.
Yeah, man, that's huge, especially because all your money's behind the torch. You know, I mean, it's good to go out every once in a while and meet your shop owners and stay in touch, kind of deal. But
yeah,
it's definitely once you get to an established part, because I'm like that too. I've had a distributor probably my whole glass career, and I do my own thing too. But it was important for me to have that consistency with having a rep out there.
Yeah, I think that's really important to have job security, and I may be skipping a little ahead, but that was part of the reason why I went to work at a scientific lab for a bit of, and just really try to hone my skills without having to worry about selling my product the next day.
Yeah, dude. Oh no, I completely understand, man. Because that's how I'm with Disney. Same gig.
Yeah,
I'm in the same boat. Like, I mean, for me as an artist, it's a childhood dream to be there as well. I mean, I got a lot of other factors involved, but the bottom comes down, man. It's all about the consistency and the paycheck, and fine tuning my skills while I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to have that opportunity. Not everybody does, but still, it's like one of those, when doors open, you got to walk through them sometimes.
Yeah. And it came pretty random. So just being able to do what I'm doing, and actually they offered me the job. So just word of mouth, they kind of heard the skills I had in Colorado just through other glass artists, and they offered me the job. So cool. I wasn't really going to deny an opportunity to learn more stuff. So
yeah, were you already doing lathe work before that? Well, yeah, I guess so if you're doing tubes, but I'm asking.
Yeah, I did, but to me, I felt like I really didn't understand a lathe until I did that, and really got properly taught.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time before that, every time I got on the lathe, I was absolutely scared of the machine. I just didn't want to hurt myself. So.
Yeah, man, it's easy to do if you're not paying attention, for sure.
Yeah, and especially if you're messing with planetary chucks or anything like that, and you tighten them too much, and you can't get them untightened, and you gotta get the piece in the kiln. Like, it can get hectic.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I had Mike Souza on talking the Scientific Glass talking. It was fascinating just listen. I mean, just like the differences in technique, but also a lot of the similarities, but also the similarities in technique with different names to them, type of thing. It's funny, how the terminology is different in the scientific world, but it's the same damn thing.
Yeah, and with them, just being able to understand a blueprint or a diagram, and learning about tolerances and being plus or negative in your tolerance zone, or else like the quality control department will reject it. Like, you really don't get that type of how do I say it? Type of speculation when you're making your own work. Like, these are actually fine-tuned products that have to be fit into a machine. It's not like a smoking device that can be very abstract.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. Well, it's kind of fucked up. Like over at work, we have our glass carvers there, and we get these glasses over from Poland. But the Polish company we buy them from has these particular mugs made in China, and we can tell the difference between the Chinese-made ones and the ones made in Poland just by it looks like they just blew into a freaking mold and then just cut the tube off and just slapped the handle on the side of it. Like, they look like garbage. The thicknesses are all different, and these guys have to like carve so kind of deep into these pieces, and some of them they're so inconsistent they could just punch right through them with their patterns they're working on. It's crazy. So it's the scientific, man. I have such an appreciation for it. Just like you're saying, the engineering and like having to be able to read a blueprint and understand what goes into this design, because it has to be on point or it doesn't work.
Yeah, and that was actually my interview. I never read a blueprint before, and they just kind of walked me to my station, walked me up to the lathe. It's like, here, we need you to make this. And they handed me a little sheet of paper, and it was like a door cylinder with like a couple like T marks, which are like glass on glass joints that go on the end of the door seal.
Okay. Yep.
And you know, it was a jacketed sleeve and 90 mil tube into 120 mil tube, and then you do the door seal, and like the glass joints were probably around 31 mil. You know, these are like big glass joints.
Yeah, no shit.
So, fortunately enough, like I knew my equipment, I was able to do it, so I got the job.
That's awesome.
They were stoked. I was like, did I do it right? They're like, did it crack? I was like, no. They're like, you're good, man.
Fucking awesome. Hell yeah.
Like the tolerances like weren't exact, but they're like, man, that will come. I mean, if you can make that happen. I did it without a Bunsen too, so you know, I was pretty stoked about that.
That's killer. Yeah, that's a hell of a way to get thrown into the fucking wolves or fire or whatever I'll call it. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
That's crazy. So to kind of back up, do you have an art background at all, like school wise, education wise, or just have you always been an artist?
Let's see here. You know, I've always been like tagging. You know, I've been tagging since probably 6th or 7th grade, and I've always been drawing. But I grew up about 10 minutes away from Glasscraft. So, you know, during that time of everything going on, I had the opportunity to go and take classes when I wanted to. And
cool.
I got to learn from Paramore. I took a couple of Mickelson classes, and this was like around 2005, 2006. And, you know, anytime I had an opportunity to take a class there, I did.
Yeah, it's
and
killer.
that's just like really, really where I got to learn like my sculpting and my body forms and stuff like that.
Yeah, man, your characters are killer. I've always dug them for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, like you've got like a specific proportion that I could see your work anywhere and know that's your work just by the proportions that you do with your guys and your characters. So I definitely dig it.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool seeing, like I was telling you the message earlier, the Mac Dre one that you sent me. My buddy, I made one for him out in Cali, and they do like the cannabis cups and stuff. And him and his friend that owns that the one that the Mac that you made. So they always get them together and shit, and they like have their little sessions with them. And then a lot of times the producers for Mac are at these cannabis cups, and they make sure they come by and see them. And they all have a little session there with the Macs with the producers. I did all of Mac Dre stuff, so it's pretty cool shit.
Yeah, no, it's really cool stuff. It's really cool shit, man. And I actually met that kid online, or he's not a kid, he's, you know, about my age.
Yeah.
But I think he was living in Lafayette or Fayetteville, and which is in Humboldt. And I was living in Arcata, and he came up, and I just kind of, you know, figured he was a local grower or just like, you know, one of the local kids. But I really had no idea who I was selling my glass to. And that's like kind of a really cool thing to see is, you know, I'm stoked on making the pieces, but then seeing the places that they get to go to and the people that actually buy them, you know, they make those pieces so much more. And like, he would actually send me pictures of like, hey, I got Yuck Mouth holding this piece, and
I got the same shit. That's cool,
know,
right? Yeah, totally.
I got like Team Mac Dre here hitting out of Mac right now, and like he'd send me videos. I'm just like, oh man, dude, I had no idea.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Yeah, because when my dude hit me up for his Mac, he sent me pictures of yours, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna, because that was like right at the very end of like when the monies were being done and stuff, you know. So like your character kind of had that same posture, but it wasn't a money. And so I was like, yeah, dude, I was like, I don't copy people's work, but I'll make a version of them. I can use this for inspiration. So that's what I did. And but I always had like 4 or 5 pictures of yours, like in different angles and shit, looking at it, trying to just to kind of see like how you did his shirt and stuff, and you know, just like figuring it out.
And really, that's funny how you mention the monies and stuff. And really, I don't know if a lot of people understand like the history of like Kid Robot and the monies and the fat caps. And they were originally created as a 3D canvas for artists, as tattoo artists, graffiti artists, and muralists and sculptors that do like resin and stuff. So when I first saw that image, I was doing line work, and I've done line work for about 10 years. And, I also took education with Marcel and Jason. I went and stayed with them for about a week in 2008, and just really wanted to learn how to do everything in line work. And soon after that, it was really Marcel. He kind of mind fucked me and said, now that we show you what we can do, what are you going to do? What are you going to bring to the community that's original and bring it to the table? So I started researching, and, I came across these monies, and not knowing that other people were doing them, I was like, man, that's the platform I need so I can figure out how to do characters that I want to do, because I was looking at a blank canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
So once I figured out how to make a head and a stomach and connect the arms and the legs right, then I can start adding in the details.
Yep. That's so cool. Yeah, man, it's funny, and it's. I think it's one of the fucked up things with just art and creativity. It's like you get this idea, you know that it's not an original idea necessarily, but to you it's a new thing, and you're gonna do it. And the next thing you know, there's like 10 other guys out there that are doing it, if not as good, but they're doing it better than you.
Yeah.
And like the monies are the same way. Like I saw a couple of different cats popping up. Like Quill was getting them going. There's a couple, they were just spread throughout the country, and they were all very similar but very different too. But then like all you guys evolved that into what you have now, which is. I did the same thing. I didn't make the money shape, but I was doing some character works where I was like making the arms and legs real simple and hollow. But then I started seeing up close pieces where like I realized the legs and the arms were solid. I was like, oh fuck, that makes so much sense. Just the body's the rig, that's what functions. Everything else is detail and fun, additions and stuff, and also less stress in a sense too. But yeah, man. So I totally dig that you tell that story because it's so true. Like I think anybody that's creating a new line for themselves, you got to start off with a blank canvas. And like when I teach people how to make pipes or whatever it is I'm teaching them, they got to make a clear version first, as like that clear. I call it a sketch, like which I stole from a friend of mine. And you do that glass sketch, and then you go from there and you add your patterns and details, and then it evolves into whatever it is that it needs to be for your expression.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's kind of like a journey for every artist, is like you kind of have to find a form that you want to make. And once you can master that form, then you can make it your own. And really, I would just try to match it up as perfect as I could to where I was happy with it. And then once I was happy with that form, then I would move on to the next form. And that's kind of how I progressed from my monies to my fat caps and then into my characters.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I think it's it's interesting to, like, I'm all about people copying other people's work. Just give them props for it, or kind of some kind of thing. Just if you want to learn it, like, don't make it your thing, but to learn the whole thing. I think it was I had Joe Scar on, and I think it was him that said it, the whole imitate until you can innovate cool idea. And which I think is true. I've done that myself. But like you're saying, man, to have like that, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with it. Just the whole blank canvas concept, I think is what the point I was trying to make. It's important to have, because then you can practice all your techniques, and then like you're saying, you knew line work, so you made them line worked, or if reversals and you can throw bitch windows in them, and like I think in terms of like banjos, like his women that he was doing when he first revealed the series of his. With women that are all line work, and you can see they're all like little bitch windows in the way he put it all together. But like, he had to start off in some position of clear to figure that shape out first.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of the people that I've been in contact with, that I've had the fortunate experience to learn stuff from them, including Rhino. Rhino told me, like, why don't you make like 10 spray cans in clear before you keep trying to make them super heady? And I was like, well, I've been doing this since like 2008. I've already been doing it for like 5 years. But then after I made a few clear ones, I was like, oh, wow, like I can really see everything.
Oh, yeah,
and
dude.
I kind of understand like the
totally.
Details that need to be made. So, I can make a proper spray can.
Yeah, absolutely. So. It's so big. Like, I bitch at all these new kids that are out there doing this now. And if you're listening to this and you're new, you need to pay attention, because when you start off, you got to make it in clear, because you can hide all your flaws in color, and the next thing you know, you're getting a phone call that the thing broke because it has some flaw on the inside of it that you didn't know was there.
Yeah.
And you can't use
but
it's clear, you see all that shit.
Yeah, you can see any stress mark, or if you like fold an air bubble into it, especially if you're drawing clear onto like a vessel for like sculpting. And a big factor with clear is bloom. I don't know if a lot of people understand what bloom is, but it's like sodium oxide that kind of like burns. It's like the off gas that like burns off to the other area that's not getting melted by the flame. And that's why a lot of workers have to like flash their piece and take the stress out, and then sometimes hit it with a warmer flame to kind of take out that fog. So
Mm-hmm.
doing the clear pieces like really helped me out in learning how to take the stress out of my glass.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're saying that because it's, it's if you're starting off or you've been doing this for 20 years, it's always the way to start the evolution process of something new. Got to go there with it. So, yeah, man. So kind of move forward on your characters. Like, obviously, you like some of the hip hop cats out there, but like, what else inspires your character lines that you're doing? Like with your spray can, obviously has like a personality to it, But like in your other characters that you come up with, is it custom work you get, or is it just wild ideas?
For me, I'm just constantly searching. I look at. I guess I don't really look at other glass work except for when I, just want to see what other people are making. But I really look at other art, and I've always like read High Fructose and Juxtapoz magazine, and just like any kind of like lowbrow pop art that really like vibes to me, and of course graffiti and all that Kid Robot stuff. So anything I just see that's like a simple form or a shape that I think I could do, I would do. But it came to a point to where I started realizing, I'm just like remaking stuff. And like for me to like really find my own shapes and images is just like a constant journey. So, my next shape or like my next form is always going to be new unless I actually like come up with the drawing myself. And recently I've been doing these spirit animals, which really I've been trying to make it my own design. And I like took it from a vinyl toy, and then I started adding in my own adjustments, I guess you could say, in a way to where I can make it my own. And that's including, just taking a basic form of a spirit animal, and you could take like any kind of animal you want, and then you add in the person and like the person's face. I've been changing it up a lot lately, and that's mainly because I'm just trying different facial expressions or different types of faces with eyebrows or without eyebrows or with eyelids. And man, it's just endless.
I know, isn't it? It sucks. Drives me fucking crazy, bro. That creative, the sky is completely wide open for us to make whatever the fuck we want to make, but you got to change it up. Like
That's really what it is, man. And like people will overlook that. Like if you're an artist and you're trying to like come up with an original idea or something that's original to you at that moment, keep your eyes peeled. It can be as simple as that, because honestly, that's how I came up with my spray can. And of course, people do spray cans. I'm not taking ownership. It's an inanimate object. It's no different than Serto grabbing a spray bottle and putting it on his desk and be like, I'm going to make that.
Mm-hmm. I made it.
It was, yeah, it was
fucking
kind of
ridiculous.
as simple as that. I was living in Venice at the time, and I lived by the boardwalk. It was a 10-minute bike ride from the boardwalk where my studio was. So I would go down in the morning, go to Muscle Beach, go work out, go hang out at the graffiti walls, ride the boardwalk for a little bit and go back and work. And I watched these guys tag the walls like almost every day. And I was seeing this girl, she must have been from UCLA or something. There's a bunch of college kids like spray painting, and she is spray painting a spray can. And I was like, dude, I bet you I could make that out of glass. And it was just that's just as easy as it was. And
too cool.
At the time, I was just doing line work. So the way I actually built the spray can was all out of line work, like straight up to the nozzle cap, a bunch of bitch windows, beach balls, and, just two simple wigwags in the center. And they started out as dry pipes. And then after that, it just progressed. So
Neat.
You know, it's just like something that you might see on the wall, or like going to Vegas and having a crazy experience and seeing a bunch of Olafs walking around, like that can be your next piece.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but you got to start with a strong foundation to be able to get to that point, where you can make the shit in your head come to life. You know.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Honestly,
lots of patience.
I don't think I'd be here unless I had that first apprenticeship from Todd. And really, I didn't even get to use tubing until like my third month. You know, I started out doing mushroom pendants and wigwag pendants. So
Hell yeah, same
you know,
here, dude.
he was definitely all about the basics, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, that's killer. You need that. Like, I preach it all the time. Make a pendant a day just to warm up. You know, just to practice melting glass. But like, make 100 of them and really figure that shit out. And like you're saying, like mushroom pendants and different things like implosions. It's just really good practice to learn your material and your medium. Hell yeah. So
yeah.
So I think it's pretty badass too with the whole spray can thing. Because I love going out in nature or just seeing architecture and buildings and stuff and seeing things on the walls from like the 1800s or some shit. Like, I'm like, damn, I could make that more modern or something of that nature, you know, or just a specific shape. You know, like seeing like for like you know like back in the 90s how car rims were like the shit. You know, there were so many fucking different patterns in car rims, but all those patterns are great, like dot patterns on spoon heads and just different things like that, or pine cones. Looking at that, it's different weird shit out there in nature.
Oh yeah. And now that people are actually drawing on pieces, I truly feel like, oh wow, like now we have like real artists coming in and literally drawing on the glass. So, that's like another form that people can take on. And, for all the people that can do that stuff, more power to them, because, I'm skilled with a pen, but, I haven't really taken the time to sit down and do something like that, which, that's definitely in the future, I hope.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I definitely dig it. When like seeing Sagan was first doing his moons and different things, and then a couple other cats are coming out and doing like this, like the Grawl techniques with the Dremel and what have you. And now seeing like this whole new generation that spawned from all that, our industry right now is in this huge creative movement right now, between all the new Millie work that's being done, all the freaking line patterns and shit that's coming back from like the late '90s, early 2000s, that is just so tight right now, and all the new colors we have to work with. I mean, it's just It's so rad, and I'm glad to see people are starting to use Dichro even more so again. Like that was like one of those things. Like once the crushed opal came out, it was like Dichro kind of took a back seat to it, unless it was in a marble or something. So it's it's like everything is just kind of coming together. I mean, there's like you're saying, dude. It's almost. I wish I had like 2 days and 1 day's worth of time just to get so much shit done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try it all.
It's weird too, because now that I'm kind of further in my career and I like want to try other things, like I feel like I need that allotted time to really sit down and do it, because understanding what I've had to go through to do the things I'm doing now, like I know that a new style, a new form, a new shape takes total concentration, and really you kind of got to put everything to the side and really dive into it if you want to perfect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I was telling you over the phone, I was starting this apprenticeship in January with one of our sculptors over at work, and I'm looking forward to being able to dedicate like 1 day a week to that, just to go in there and just focus on learning some sculptural techniques from a master. It's gonna be pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's got to be intense, man. Like that sounds really exciting. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it, and it's all that shit I'm learning there, man. Because a lot of our work there is all solid. I do like a couple hand blown things, but mostly solid sculptural work. So it's really, I've been able to take all that knowledge I've learned over the last 5 years and just bring it into my pipes. I really, see like this, a huge drastic change in my glass since I started working there.
Yeah, and you've been there for about 5 years?
Yeah, I started in 2012. Was it 2012? Yeah, so this January will be the beginning of my 5th year, basically.
Awesome, man. Did you? Wow, and you just kind of fell into that, or you just knew the right people, huh?
Yeah, kind of, dude. Like I'm doing a podcast. So I like to fucking talk. So, So like 10 years ago, with my ex-wife and my daughter, I think she was 7 at the time, and we just went to Magic Kingdom for the day, and I had no idea they were doing glass, and I've been doing glass for, I guess, about 8 years at that point in time almost. So I see the flame worker in the front, and then I start walking in, and I'm like, oh my God, they have a hot shop in here too? What the fuck? I had no idea. as many times as I'd been there before that, I just had no idea that was going on. So I walked in there and these two guys are chatting. I'm like, who's the glass artist in here? And they both look at each other like, who the fuck's this guy? kind of thing. And they're like, we are. So I broke up their conversation. But anyways, and that's when I met David Sandage. And him and I sat and bullshitted for a good hour, and they were just talking shop and stuff. And I had never seen like the stitch work done before, like the little loop technique, the old school stuff. And so Jimmy's on the torch working, and he's like, hey, Jimmy, show him those loop stitch techniques. And I guess there's 3 different versions of this loop. So, and again, Jimmy looks at me like, who the fuck is this guy? Why am I just taking time out of my day for this? So David's like, just show him real quick. So he showed me the 3 different loops. And I was like, mine was completely blown just watching him do this, simple 100-year-old technique. But long story short, as I was leaving, I was like, hey, man, just so you know, ever in opening, here's my information. We became friends on Facebook right there, on our phones or whatever. And he's like, oh, you'll hate it. It's all production shit. I'm like, dude, I've been doing production for 10 years. Let's do this. So 5 years later, he sent me, we've stayed in touch to that point in time. Like 5 years later, literally 5 years later, sent me a message, let me know that there was an opening. And the guy that I was taking place was going over to Tokyo. And the guy that went to Tokyo is this guy, Joe Brubaker, who I'm going to be apprenticing under now starting in January. So like it's come this full circle. It's kind of crazy.
Wow. I bet that guy's got so much knowledge after going to Tokyo.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Well, even like Keith, I don't know if you know Keith Bryan. He's in our scene a little bit. He just actually was over in Tokyo for 20 years. He went over there on a 2-year contract and came back 20 years later, working for our shop out there. They all say it's incredible to go out there and work. But
that's cool, man. I'm excited to actually just come out to Florida just to kind of see that. I might even want to go to Disney. I mean, honestly, like when I was coming up in my glass career in Colorado, the guy I learned from, he would, tell us countless times, unless you work at Disney, they batched their own color, they made their own color. And that's why I was actually asking you earlier if that was true or not, because I've heard so many things about like the canary yellow and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was all very specific numbers to, like I was saying, like the goofy green and different things that are specific to the character that Disney requires us to use. Like when I was doing my Olaf, it was about a 2-week turnaround from like when I got my sample made to when Disney finally approved the piece. And the holdup was just basically they wanted me to use a different orange for the carrot on his nose. So I got the right color orange, and there's orange is weird anyways. So I use I think it's Paramore's Sunset Orange. I think is what it's called.
Wow.
I think that's who makes it. But anyways, yeah, man. So it's pretty wild, for sure.
Yeah, it's just got to be a fun experience, and I don't know. I never really had anything like that, but I would compare it to like the Scilab, to where it's definitely production, but at the same time, the amount of knowledge that passes through those kind of facilities and stuff, people really don't realize that.
Yeah, it's like when I first started, I did a little bit of some technique learning stuff from David when I got there. But like for the most part, we're on stage in the stores, so we don't really even get to see each other unless we do a split shift day. So the opportunity to we've been pushing more for us to like go on days off or whatever and go to the warehouse and like teach each other technique type stuff. But in all reality, we just kind of learn things as we need to learn them. Something new comes up, we say, yeah, let's do it, and then we got to figure the shit out. So
yeah,
kind of learning on the job.
Well, I think that's a big part of the job, is being able to troubleshoot your own work, and everything is a puzzle, and if you can't break it down, then you can't really figure out the steps that are required to make the piece.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of my favorite parts about it, being a glass artist, is like the engineering side, like you're saying with the whole blueprint thing. Like I love that shit.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, give me 1 second. I got like the worst cotton mouth right now, and I'm like tired voice.
Yeah.
I just want to go get
no worries.
some ice water real quick. I'll be right back. Yeah, man. Sorry, I decided to take a quick break. Man, kind of late for me, I guess, being 10 o'clock and on the East Coast, but I was looking for something bubbly, and I'm like, I got a fucking beer in there. I really don't drink much anymore, but a beer is good for a dry throat and a tired voice.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man. So I wanted to kind of move forward talking about I guess not really move forward, but on the whole Florida topic when you're coming down. So let's get into this class you guys are going to be talking about and teaching. Pretty badass. Got you and Blitzkrieg and Casto coming down, which is like 3 rock stars. It's going to be freaking awesome. So really happy to have you guys down here. What exactly are, like, do you know what the overall theme of the class is going to be, and then what's your part in the class going to be all about?
Well, I haven't worked with these guys before in person. I've done collabs like through the mail and stuff, and definitely hung out with these guys and known them for a little while. And when Josh came to me with the opportunity to kind of orate this show, they were definitely at the top of the list. And luckily enough, they had available time. I had a couple other artists that I had in mind, but everyone's so busy, so you always catch them at the next one. But I'm thankful for Casto and Blitzkrieger coming through, and I'm super excited for what we're about to do. And it's just going to be a super heavy sculpting class. And I know what I'm bringing to the table, but as far as what we're going to do is in the class for each piece that we're going to do, I think we're going to take some time before the class.
Yeah, figure it out.
Figure it out, see what everybody's into at the current situation, because it's kind of hard because you look at everybody's work, but then when you kind of meet up, some people might not be into that shape at the current time or anything like that. So you kind of got to feel each other out.
Yeah, man, the recyclers that Blitzkrieg is making right now are fucking ridiculous. His Encauma pieces, this thing's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then Casto's Millie stuff that he's been coming up with, I'm just like, wow, I gotta step my game up. I was orating. What the?
It's so funny. I don't know, man. You guys are gonna kill it. It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. And Blitzkrieger is bringing his apprentice, or I guess his prep worker. I don't want to give him the wrong title.
Right.
But he is going to have an assistant with him, so I think we're going to be pretty ready as far as prep goes, so we can just be in full assembly. And I'm actually planning on coming a couple days early so I can have a lot of my prep ready for everybody else.
Yeah, fucking A. Yeah, I definitely want to throw down with you. For sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know my schedule at that point in time, so we'll talk about fair about it. Yeah, so 17th, 18th is a class, and then the 19th you guys are actually having the gallery opening. So you getting your shit together for that now? Getting all your pieces made up?
Yeah, I got my pieces ready. I actually haven't posted a lot of the pieces I'm going to bring to the show just because I kind of want to keep that under wraps and bring a lot of new work. And as well as Blitzkrieg, I've been trying to do a lot of functionality combinations with my sculptural work. And like everybody else is kind of doing the recyclers is because that's that new form and function. And I really like how those pieces work. And when I first actually saw a Klein or anything like that, I was like, wow, I was doing that 30 times a day in a scientific lab. I just never added a joint to it.
Yeah, totally. That's funny.
So actually realizing that, I've already done these pieces before. It's just more about implementing it into my own artwork.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, man. When I make these owls, these little owls I make, I call them my whole Wise Guy series, which is what the brand for the show and everything's come from. And I was trying to figure out a way to do a recycler with one. I sat and I was like, what the fuck can I do? So I made the wings out, and I have a seal in between. Basically the wings are hollow, if this makes any sense, and they're basically like a U the way it's attached. There's just, I don't know what that seal would be called, but it's like a double seal on both sides. So the water can go through the wings into the top of the owl and then drops down the center and does this little circulation deal. And it was just fun to sit down and just take this new techniques that are being done and try to figure out a way to change it a little bit with my spin on it, And then it actually worked. I was like, well, this is fucking killer. And I haven't made another one since. I got to make more of them. It's been 3 years now. I'm like, fuck, I got to make those things again. It was my prototype, So I definitely wanted to get back on that ball because I think it's cool, man. I held back on the recyclers and the clients just because it was that's all you were seeing. But now you're seeing the artists that are doing them they're evolving to their voice that they're putting into it, which I think is pretty badass.
Yeah, and I think anything that comes out onto the scene, there is that period of everything looks alike. I mean, it happened with Wigwags, happened with Monies, and same with the recyclers and the Kleins, but at some point, like people like figure out how they can make it their own. And I think that's like the beautiful part about glass is, anyone can look at that one shape or that one form, but as soon as they can like twist it or tweak it in that one way to where they can kind of claim it as their design, that's kind of what glass does. At least in my eyes.
Yeah. That's
I
interesting.
mean, there's only so many ways you can make a mini tube, but I mean, if you have that signature pattern or that signature look that you can put on your mini tube, then that, what makes you stand apart.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I like to say, man, I can see your work anywhere and I can tell it. I can pull it off a shelf and be like, yep, that knows who that works is. And it's, it's cool to have that kind of style.
Thanks, man. It's definitely been one thing that I've strived for. And really, when I was trying to step away from my line work at the time, the only really person that I thought that was separate from everybody else was Salt.
Mm-hmm.
And, just really wanted a niche or a design or something that I could say, hey, that's a D-Rock piece. So thanks, man. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I say the same thing all the time, dude. There was a couple cats for a while, yeah, they had like their brand and that was them, for sure, and whatever. But Salt specifically, he was one of those cats that was just like, holy shit, this is. And every time he posts something, I was like, oh my god, what that's fucking gross and amazing. I want to hang up my torch and like never do glass again.
Well, yeah, like him and Ghost and Bishop, like those guys like really stood in my mind. That I'm just like, it's like so simple, but just so different. And, a lot of the times I would look at their work and just be like, there's really not that much detail except for like the form of the body. It's not like they have flip discs or tons of color in it and stuff. It's just like how they have that shape and their signature style.
Yeah. Yeah, it's killer.
And it's the simplicity of it. And I think that's, a lot of the reasons why, Rhino, Elbow, and Coil, and those three stand out a lot because of how simplistic, but yet, exactly who it is when you see it just at first glance.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of my reasons for I took a class with Coil and Steve Sizlove up at Tobacco Leaf about 2 years ago now. I bring this up all the time on this show, so if you're listening to this and you're hearing this again, I apologize. But
I took a Sizlove class, man. He's awesome.
Oh, dude. Yeah, when he started, like the first thing he showed us was his bubble trap, and I just threw my hands in there. I was like, that paid for my entire fucking weekend of this class was just seeing him do that bubble trap tech. And it's one of those things. It's such a simple technique, but that motherfucker, dude, it took me timing wise at least 20 or 30 times just to time it to where I can get it down every single time. And then much less get the glass sleeve off. I mean, I'd want to tell how it's done, but we know how it's done. And it's one of those things like, man, it's fucking rad. I love it. But about the simplicity was watching Coil, and Coil's pieces are very simple, but they're very detailed, and his style is, you see his work too. Like you can tell Coil's work out of anybody's shit. And it was cool to see that, the simplicity and how he made his pieces and how they function really well. Because I've seen some really amazing sculptural pieces that just don't function well, and for me, function's got to be number one. I don't care how it looks. If it's a piece of shit, as long as you can smoke it and it actually smokes well, it's good shit. So not to say names out there, but I have seen some really higher end shit that I've used, and it was like smoking through a straw that was cut off in the middle, kind of thing. It was just, I don't know, just wasn't exciting, and it was like $25,000. It's like, okay, you're paying for the art of this piece. I get that. Because it was, but function for sure.
I think through the progression of the art, like people kind of realize, it's funny because I was, kind of doing my homework for this interview, and I was listening to the Lurch show, and I love Lurch, and talking about back in the day, it wasn't really about how it hit, it's just how big and crazy you can make that piece, and I've had a few times I've done pieces that were crazy big. I was doing pieces all out of wigwags, double bubs, 63 sections. I think my highest number was like 86 sections.
Hell yeah.
And, just doing all these interlocking wigwags. And then now I'm doing pieces are the size of a 12-ounce pop can
I know you can fit that shit in your pocket.
and selling it for the same amount.
I know it's fucking crazy. I know,
Yeah,
dude.
it's
I
world of
love it.
difference.
It's crazy. But like even at work, I tell people they order something like I do custom work a lot, and it's a $50 minimum. I don't give a fuck what it is. If you want me to make you a stir stick or whatever, it's $50 minimum. And it's
Yeah.
because sometimes going small, man, that shit is not easy. That's a lot of work. I mean, you see some of these little mini tubes that are like 3 inches tall. You can wear around your neck, and they got like 100 little fucking wigwags in it. And it's
Yeah.
got like 50 hours of work in it, and it was like $2,000, and it's got opals on
Yeah.
it, and it's like there's so much that people just don't understand what really it takes to make that piece. And that's hours. Not to mention the opal issue you may have to have down the road. You know, it's like I don't want to
Yeah.
go there, but you know,
And I don't mean no disrespect to opals, but if you ever have a spectrometer or something, you should look at opal tubing under that.
yeah, I agree.
But it's just all about the amount of clear that you use versus the jet black or whatever you're sleeving over, and make sure you use fine granule stuff. I've had the opportunity to work with Sagan quite a bit, and hands down, he makes like the best opal tubing I've ever seen, and Big Z. But
Hmm.
they've had tons of trial and error, and to me personally, I would just go with Dichro.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's why I mentioned that earlier, dude. I'm in the same boat. I love
Yeah.
Dichro.
Yeah, I do too, and I've recently been trying to use it more and more. And like when Pacific Art Class came out, and they're doing all those like triple layer stuff, and like watching Mr. Gray like come back with some Dichro stuff, man. I really hope it makes a movement again.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I think it's the next thing. You know, for sure. Because once the crushed, like I was saying before, once the crushed opal came out, people were like, "What's Dichro?"
Yeah.
It's like a bad word. But like over at work, even like Keith right now, he's making marbles, dude. Like some badass heady fucking marbles, and he finally got the go ahead to do them. And he's doing some with opal encasements, but some with like dichroic galaxies and vortexes, and just amazing, beautiful, perfectly round, amazing marbles. And it's exciting to see that this guy who's a phenomenal glass artist is getting a chance to make such a simple form, but it's make it so elegant and so crazy. You know,
Yeah.
with dichro and
Yeah.
opals.
And they're just all marbles.
Yeah, just marbles. Yeah, they're probably like 2-inch marbles.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're killer. Yeah, he puts a little makes just a basic little glass base, a little indention kind of thing on a patty. Real simple marble holder. So they stand up.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I've definitely neglected on. I've always wanted to come back to marbles because I've had a lot of education in them, and I was fortunate enough to learn from John. But just doing what I do, I just always put it on the back burner.
Yeah, same here. I got a wild hair and made a little Pokemon ball like 3 weeks ago. It was like a galaxy, dichroic galaxy, and then I've just backed it with some I don't even know what the hell it was. Some red we had, canary probably, but it came out cool, man. I was pumped. It wasn't perfectly round. I dropped it on the floor a couple times. Had a couple of little round, impact craters in it from hitting the floor. But whatever. I'm definitely not a marble maker.
Yeah, glass happens.
Yeah, no shit. Hell yeah, dude. Well, I guess on that note, it's actually a good transition for us to take a minute to thank our sponsors, and then we'll come back and we'll start crashing the kiln.
Sweet.
All right, cool. This segment of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Glass Studios. Located in the heart of St. Petersburg, Florida, Zen Glass has a wide range of offerings to choose from. Their menu includes one-on-one or group classes in their hot shop or flameworking studio, create your own wine glass, and so much more. If you're a traveling artist, they even have a space to rent that you can temporarily call home. With over 50 years of combined experience, Zen Glass can help you fine-tune your techniques, whether you're a novice or advanced glass artist. For their calendar of events, including info about their Third Thursday studio jams, you can contact Zen at zenglass.com. That's zenglass.com. All right, we're back. Quick and easy as always. So, Crash into Kiln round consists of about 7 questions, I believe I have now. And you can give me a 30 to 60 second answer if you can. If not, expound upon them. Everybody does. And the first question I always like to ask is if there is any living glass artist that you had not yet worked with. Who is it and why?
That's a tough one. Can I have a top three?
Yeah, dude, absolutely, sure.
It'd have to be Deppy, Banjo, and Darby.
Mm. Hell yeah. Yeah, those guys are all aliens. And they're breeding.
Yeah.
Darby's got his own little baby aliens now that are badass glass artists.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you want to go that far, I'd want to collab with Caleb too.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's too cool. So, if you could describe the sound of glass cracking in one word, whether it's an emotional word or a actual noise, what's the word?
Painful.
Cool. What are your top 5 favorite colors in glass?
Right now, it's these molten aura flesh tones, and probably the Cortex, the Sable, and see Silver Strike, Serum, and in Jet Black.
Cool. How much serum do you have?
Bits and ends. If anybody knows where you can send me a pound,
I know,
please hit me up
motherfucker.
on my DM.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I have a small little teeny little piece myself I've been holding on to for like a pendant or some shit, for myself, not even to sell it, just for me.
Right. Yeah, me too.
So, okay, cool. So back to the questions. What is your the worst injury you've had in the studio?
I'm actually gonna say the same thing that Lurch said, man. The most embarrassing or the most detrimental?
Yeah,
Or
I'd
can I
say
both.
Yeah, all the above, dude. I want to hear them.
All right. See, it was about like 2004, like right after I had moved down. I had this hammerhead bubbler that completely checked, and the check marks were just like on the can of it. So I took a scoring knife and tried to snap off. Unfortunately, and like I'm not too queasy on blood because I've done tons of skating. I mean, my shins are wrecked from handrails, but it was just the initial fear, I think.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I was working on a lathe. That's why I discussed earlier, you want to make sure you know how to like unlock your planetary chucks and not rush yourself and get too scared, and just be like calm, cool, and collective when you're operating stuff. But I basically got my planetary chuck locked. I couldn't undo it, and I was hitting it with the palm of my hands, and I hit it in just the right way to where it unwent. And when I did that, I hit my index finger on one of the chucks and took off my nail.
Oh, fuck.
And instantly I turned around and just started laughing and went to the couch and kind of laid down. And that one I definitely had to go to the hospital for.
Oh, man. Holy Jesus.
Yeah, that was a scary one. So, if you're working on machine equipment, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't get scared and try to rush anything. Just make sure you know what you need to do.
Yeah, always. And that was part, which it's going to come out tomorrow morning, the best of the worst injuries. And it's like this running theme along the whole thing is all about pay the fuck attention to what you're doing completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we all do
and I think all I was thinking about is not getting that glass to break. And really, that glass is going to be fine. Just make sure you're okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, man. It's one of those things I always forget that it's glass, and then I cut myself, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's sharp, clear shit.
Yeah, oh, man, this is dangerous.
Yeah. Fuck. It's like, I always say it's like the S&M art job out there in the world. It's like, we just love it. Just bring it on.
I've always thought of glass blowing as an action art. It was very comparable to skating, and I feel like that was why I was able to transfer a lot of my creativity and energy into this artwork, is because there's that element of danger. Like we're making all beautiful stuff, but at any time we could really fuck ourselves up.
Yeah, and then Joe Peters is over on the corner pulling off like the 3000 or whatever.
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's I agree, man. And like we were saying before we hit record, like how the movement in our community. It's and the way that the kind of the promotional side of it with the filming and the documentaries and stuff. It's got this really skate kind of fun art vibe to it, and I dig it a lot. It's really fun.
I do too, man. I really feel like it helps like keep our industry young in that fact. And when I started, I didn't know a single glass artist that wasn't under 40.
Yeah, me same here. Yeah, absolutely. And
they're
all
to
furnace
see all
workers.
this, yeah, to see this younger generation, man. Like I hope they kind of keep it alive.
Yeah, man, it's pretty sweet. Yeah, there's definitely there's that small percentage of the younger crowd that's in I guess like 19 to 28 ish. There's like a core of those cats, male and female both, that are just badass and will be here for like the next 60 years, and then the rest of them will fizzle out or what have you. It's like that core that has that drive and the passion for it, and then the rest will be hobbyists. But even that's cool. Melting glass, whatever you got to do, just keep going. But it's fun to see like these little branches. Every once in a while, these little branches all of a sudden spawn up, and sometimes it seems like it takes one person to go into a studio, and then the whole fucking studio is like just completely crazy and out of control with what they're making.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that myself, man. It's a cool thing to witness.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah, man. So the new question I'd like to ask now is if you have any glass-inspired tattoos.
I have a crappy wigwag sleeve that my friend gave me, and it was all freehand, and he really didn't know how to do the terminations, but I keep it, and it symbolizes my wigwag experience.
Hell yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely want to get a band of a wigwag at my forearm. I'm looking at going like with a bunch of different patterns at some point in time.
Yeah.
And I want to have like an Encalmo forearm, kind of deal. But I want to go through all the patterns that I've learned through my life.
Yeah, I definitely want to add some color, maybe make it fire and ice. That was definitely one of my favorite combos in wigwag.
Hell yeah.
That fire and ice.
Rad. Well, the last question is a difficult one at times, and basically it is if you were stranded on a deserted island, and it could be the island of your choice, whether it's got condos or nobody at all. So it would be deserted. It's the island of your choice. And there was a glass blowing studio on there, and you had to make something. And they supplied your gases, your kiln, and your torch. And I'm going to throw this in here from now on, and they also bring your glasses, because like 85% of the people that answer this forget their glasses. So your glasses are there waiting for you. So besides your gases, your torch, and your glasses, and your kiln, your necessities, and you had to make something. Could be whatever you got to make. And so what would you bring? What 5 items?
Okay, so what item would I make, or what tools do I need?
What would you bring, to make this thing that you got to make?
My tweezers, a reamer, and a paddle.
That's
and
it?
A blowhose.
Yeah, blowhose. Yeah. You got one more. You got to have glass or something.
Calipers.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man, simplicity.
Yep.
That's why I think people don't realize how simple what we do, and it's very difficult at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, but I've had a lot of teachers explain to me you really only need tweezers and a reamer to do anything, but I still cheat.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Like just recently, even like in the past 2 years, I started using a blowhose like on a regular basis. Which is one of those things I wish I had 10 years ago, but I just got used to not using one until I saw one being used. Same with the hand torch, like a Smith hand torch. Like I just always just get in the most awkward, fucking weird positions and angle my Carlisle how I got to angle it to hit my spots,
Yeah,
But
totally.
Now a hand torch and a blowpipe's like, fuck, man. I love it.
That's funny because I remember before the Smithies like really got popular and stuff, like I'd be working with like Worm or Big Z, and these guys will pick up their GTT and use it like a fucking hand torch. It's crazy. But I'm not that big of a beast, so I can't just like pick up my Delta Mag or nothing like that.
Right. Hey, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 36.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I figured you're probably close to me. I'll be 40 in like a month and a half.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, dude. So before we let you go here, if you want to give our industry and community here any kind of parting piece of advice, and then also where we can find you out there in the world of cyberspace.
My Instagram is d.rockglassart. And I do have a Facebook fan page, but I am not allowed on it because I ended up getting too many followers, so they just made it into a public page. But you can definitely see my work on there. I don't know what happened with that. And my email is dfreewayross80@gmail.com if anyone wants to make custom orders or fill an order. And parting piece of advice is, just do you and don't worry about anything else that's happening around you. As long as you're making the work that you want to make and you're getting paid for it, that's all that matters. Just do you and you'll be fine.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Hell yeah, man. I appreciate that. And if you anybody interested in their class, it's going to be held at Zen Glass Studios in St. Petersburg, Florida, on November 17th and 18th, with the gallery opening on the 19th. You can go to zenglass.com for all the details on pricing and what have you. And I know they have just a couple spots left, so get in there before they're filled. And yeah, just kind of a side note, dude. So I meant to bring this up. So you're driving all the way from fucking LA to Florida. So how long do you think it's going to take you to get it down here?
I believe it's going to take about 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
But I also got my puppy. He's a French bulldog. He's my little sidekick.
My wife's gonna love him.
So yeah, I'm bringing him with me, and really I do this glass thing for the experience. I don't fly. I always drive or take the train. So I'm kind of just all about the journey, and I always kind of take that initiative when I do my demos and my classes.
Yeah, it's killer, dude. I'm the same route. Like I've flown one time just because I had like a small window to travel to do a class or a demo, I should say. But I'm the same way. I'm the same way, dude. This 18 years behind the torch has been one hell of a journey and life changing.
Yeah.
For all the best things. But we all have rocky roads as we go along through life, much less through our glass. Even if you're 18 years or you're almost the same amount of time behind the torch, it don't matter. We still have shit that breaks, which is why I took those classes too. I wanted to see those guys break shit. It's it's what it's all about. Killer, dude. Yeah, thanks for tuning in to episode 134 featuring D-Rock, and you can find all his information we talked about on the show notes, as well as wiseguyradio.com. Just go to wiseguyradio.com or wiseguymedia.com/134, and that'll take you right to his episode. And we'll see you next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Take it easy. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.